Looking back at 70. Dear Dad, this letter was prompted by statements that you had made during your last visit here concerning your feelings of lack of accomplishment and contribution. Upon turning 70 last year, it appears you have hit a milestone that has caused you to stop and reflect upon the years you spent in the chosen occupation of teaching. I'm sure that the news you received about your heart and also the attempt to get adjusted to the right medication has caused you to think more seriously about this concern. However, I feel that you need to hear some things. I feel that I need to write this letter for two reasons. First, I love you and have more than the usual portions of filial respect and affection for you and what you and Mom have done for me. You have modeled effective parenting, and I feel that, to a very large degree, the success we have had in raising our daughter thus far is a direct result of what you provided for me in my upbringing. To see you questioning yourself and your contribution is more than saddening. It hurts, because we love you and do not want to see you hurting. Secondly, you are wrong as you can be about what impact you have made in the lives of others. Consider the following. There is a saying that goes, I teach, I touch eternity. This has become, I am sure, a credo that many teachers live by, that keeps them going when times are tough. Teachers today have an unbelievable challenge in their jobs with all of the problems of society, governmental and legal restraints, and lack of parental support, among other problems in education. It is often difficult to see any progress made at all, when much of one's time and energy is consumed by the conditions existing in schools today. The reason that most teachers came to the profession, and the reason most stay with it, is the opportunity to work with young people. When teachers are asked why they teach, their most frequent response is that they have the chance to make a difference in the lives of others, children. Teaching is a service-oriented profession. The kicks they get out of helping others, even when the students don't realize it, is what makes them teachers. There is no way of telling how far their influence as an instructor, as a role model, as a person, carries and exactly what kind of influence has been made on students as they, year after year, pass through teachers' classes. Terry Deal, a professor at Vanderbilt University, tells a story of his father who taught school and who helped a student with only one arm learn to play baseball. Years later, Dr. Deal was in a bowling alley and a drink was brought to him. When he asked why, the waitress pointed to a one-armed man across the room who had bought it for him. Upon renewing their acquaintance, the student asked if he and his wife could treat the teacher and his wife to dinner that evening. Imagine their surprise when a limousine pulled up in front of their house and they were escorted to where the student and his wife waited. In explanation, the student recounted how he had been able to overcome his handicap to become the president of a very large corporation, and that he had been waiting 25 years to do this for the teacher who made it possible. You may never get that limousine ride or be able to hear those words of thanks. Although living in a small town as you do, I'm sure you have had your share of statements of appreciation. I have heard you speak of such occasions in the past. I think you must ask yourself the following questions. Why did I teach in the first place? Do I feel that I provided the students with information that they might be able to use later in life? Did I treat them with dignity and respect? Did I live my life before them in a way that might serve, even in some small way, as an appropriate example or role model? Did I ever see in a student's eyes, though unverbalized, a hint of appreciation or thanks for whatever I had done or for what I was to them? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then I say you have made a difference. I have talked to a number of your students over the years, while I was in school and since. I would not be stretching it to say that most of those students would place you at or near the top of the list of teachers they had ever had in a field, the study of literature, that has extremely strong potential to reach students and make them think seriously about life. If you never saw that look or heard the thanks, then you simply weren't looking or listening. Consider the non-teacher, the architect who may design and build many things, even those few who are publicly recognized for their work, yet never sees that look of gratitude in someone's eye that he or she has really made a difference in that person's life. The accountant who who sits and works with figures and law codes day in and day out, and never even comes close to someone saying, "You have made a difference." The factory worker who possibly feels no sense of accomplishment except earning a paycheck and being able to provide for a family, so very remote from the user of what he has spent his life doing. The bars and couches of psychiatrists are full of people who never get a sense of fulfillment from their work, which consumes as much as 1/3 to 1/2 of their waking hours. They, if anyone, have the right to doubt their worth and their contribution in their work, and to wonder in their latter years if they made a difference. If none of this rings true, and you are still feeling that you haven't made a difference, consider this. Sometimes the most obvious things are right under our noses. I was a student in a freshman English class one time and had a teacher who inspired me. I also happened to live with him and could observe him, whether I consciously knew it or not, on a daily basis concerning the way he lived his life, consistently and circumspectly. It is no coincidence that I, too, decided to live my life in this service-oriented profession called teaching. It is no coincidence that I left the high school classroom and have found a niche in higher education, in a field, educational administration, where my influence has the potential to be much broader in making a difference in the lives of the people I touch and influence for good. My dad, whether he knew it or not, taught me the joys and satisfaction of helping others, and, consequently, anyone I help, he is helping and continues to help. You see, we never know where our influence takes root, or how deep those roots go, or how far the limbs and branches may stretch. I think my feelings are best captured by a poem I once read, written by a teacher who felt, as all teachers should, about the impact they have on others. Teacher, I am that most fortunate of men and women, for I am eternal. Others live merely in the world of today, but I live in the world of tomorrow. Others find meaning in the transient and in the temporal, but I find meaning in the enduring and the eternal. For I am charged with that most sacred mission, to transmit all that our forebears lived for, loved for, and died for to the next generation. I span the generations, making the wisdom of the past live now, so that the future will have meaning. I make wisdom live, for I am no mere bearer of knowledge. I do not simply teach the mind, I teach the heart. And when I reach the heart, I touch the soul. Rabbi Zeb Shostak. You count, Dad. Believe me, you have made a difference. Love, your son.